Okay, this is my first video blog. Here I sit today after about a month of having some high heart rate issues, and decided to go to the doctor. Went to the doctor, and doctor ordered some tests. Had EKG. I was doing the treadmill, doing my cool down. Heart rate was around 127, all of a sudden spiked up to 212, then 220. A little freaky. Took a rest, got it back down. Was able to go for another quarter mile walking at 4 miles an hour. No big deal. Felt a little weird afterwards. Decided to go ahead and go to the doctor. I had this issue one time before, which my heart rate was about 185 and it spiked up over 200, but it didn't last very long. So I go to the doctor. This was on a Wednesday, and this would have been a week ago Wednesday, so I don't know what date that was, but anyway, I'm on the treadmill and doing my cool down, and 127 was the heart rate, spiked up to 212 to 220. Slowly, after about 5 minutes, got it back down, finished my workout. So I had to go to the doctor on Thursday. Thursday, the doctor gives me an EKG and says, well, let's go ahead and get a Doppler of your heart done. I said, okay. So I go in on a Friday, get the Doppler, which is a sonogram, basically like what women have when they are having children. Sonogram of the heart. Everything looks fine. EKG looks fine. Doppler looks fine. I said, okay, take a rest, chill out for a while, and see what happens. So I give it a few days, and people that know me since last October, I've been running, doing exercises, doing an exercise here at home, which I won't specify which one, because I don't want to lay blame. Do that exercise program because the program is excellent. Very fun exercise program. So last Sunday night, would have been a week ago yesterday. Today is the 18th, so a week ago yesterday on a Sunday night, I tell my kids I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my video. I'm going to take it easy, take it nice and slow. So it's about a 35-minute video. I get in here, get my heart rate monitor on. Everything looks fine. I start going through my cardio workout. It's pretty strenuous, but I'm watching my heart rate, my resting point. It's going down like it should, coming up when I'm exercising, looking good. All of a sudden, I'm doing some exercises, and I feel my heart start to really race. So I check my heart rate monitor, and it's 236 beats per minute. It's pretty high. So I come over and I get a drink, and I sit down and I watch my heart rate. Well, it's not doing anything. It's staying at 230, fluctuating between 230, 236, somewhere in that range. I sit down to rest. Had made a joke with my son beforehand. Hey, if you hear a big thud back in here, make sure you call somebody and come check on me. Well, I holler for him when I can't get my heart rate down. And he comes in, he's all kind of like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, go ahead and call your mom, my ex-wife, who's a nurse, by the way, RN. And by this time, my heart rate is still fluctuating between, I don't know, everything was kind of foggy in that time. It was probably 225 to 230, somewhere in that range. And my hands work. My hands start curling up like I have arthritis. I have no use of my hands. I can't move. All I can do is face forward and concentrate on my breathing that I've done for years, trying to get my heart rate down. It's not working. And So then I get the tingling in my arms, my hands, and my face. My face starts getting, my lips start making an O where they're tightening up. I can't talk. I have my son give me a drink. He had to hold the water to my face. I could not hold the glass. So at this point, anxiety's kicked in, and I'm pretty well freaking out. I can't hardly move. Concentrating on my breathing, hoping that my breathing does not stop. The ex-wife, Christy, shows up and can't even hardly find a pulse. So she's saying my blood pressure is really, really low. So I was able to, before all this started happening, turn off the video and just sit there and stare at the wall, try to get my heart rate down. She wants to take me to the hospital, but I can't move. She can't get me down the stairs. I've got 2 staircases in my apartment, one that's vertical and one that's got 2 different staircases. Ultimately, we had to call the ambulance. Well, the ambulance had a hard time getting me out, blah, blah, blah. I finally get out to the ambulance. They start taking me to the hospital. By the time I get to the hospital, my heart rate's probably around, I think she said it was around 95, somewhere in there. So it had come down considerably. The numbness in my face had started to wear off, so did my hands. My hands started coming back. I had functionality back in my hand. So as all this is going on, I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting a stroke. My heart rate's high for some reason. I don't know. One thing that I had been doing different on the second that I had, I was not eating right. I was only bringing in 1,000 calories a day, where I was putting out. I was working off almost 1,000 calories a day because I was doing 2 a days. I was doing a workout at home, and I was also running at work. So I get to the hospital. They do EKG, they do blood work, they do a CAT scan because I had a headache that radiated down and back and behind my neck. Everything comes out perfectly fine. My heart rate stables. We don't know what it is. Some say it's SVT, which is supraventricular tachycardia, which can raise your heart rate, but then your heart rate comes down. It happens in everybody sometimes. Anyway, so I take a few days off of work. Every time the anxiety kicks in, thinking that my heart rate's going to go back up again, my heart rate goes back up. Go back to the doctor the next day, see my primary physician, and he wants me to get a Holter monitor. Holter monitor, so if you check out my Facebook at JD Knoll, they put electrodes on you and they monitor you for 48 hours. Little pager looking thing tells you what your heart does for 48 hours. Sleeping, walking, running. During that time I did no exercise, nothing. Finally, they wanted me to go in and see, or have a stress test. I'm like, okay. I went in and I had the Doppler. Everything went fine. They wanted me to have a stress test, which was today, the 18th of March. And I go in and they have no stress test scheduled for me. I'm like, okay, what am I doing here then? And she goes, well, you're here just to see the doctor, the cardiologist. I'm like, all right, fine. So they sit me in the room, of course. Doctor's not in yet at 8 o'clock. Well, he'll be in as soon as he gets in there. 10 minutes later, and he walks. Asks me what's going on, and I tell him what's going on. He says, okay. He says, probably need to get an EKG. Said, I've had 2 of those in the last week. And he's like, okay, let me go find out. So he walks out, walks back in. Yeah, looks like everything came back fine. He says, probably need to get a Doppler of your heart, get a Doppler scan. I had that done last week in the same office, 2 doors down from where I'm at now. Why they didn't have all this information, I don't know. So he says, and out he goes again. Comes back in, he says, okay, yeah. Looks like you had a Doppler. Says, next thing to do is probably put you on a Holter monitor. I just had that done. I just took it off Saturday, which was 2 days ago, after 48 hours of having it on. He says. And out he goes. Don't see him for a little while. Comes back in, says, okay, he says, really, heart rate of 236 beats per minute, and a guy your age, it's not uncommon, nothing to be afraid of, not life-threatening. And I look at him and I was like, not life-threatening, it put me in the hospital. Okay? I'm used to running, my heart rate runs high. Usually if I'm running at a good speed, nice casual speed, my heart rate could go to 185 beats per minute, which is pretty high, considering at my age, 41, at 100% heart rate, my heart rate should be 179, and you should only go to 75% of that. Mine runs at almost 185, so that's high. But I keep pushing on, and things seem to level out and go down until the last month. He's like, well, he says, nothing to be concerned about. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have you, we're going to do this test where you pee in a bottle for 24 hours to check some kind of something. I'm like, okay. And he says, and then we're going to get blood work done again to check your thyroid, which, once again, I already had blood work done at the hospital, and they said checked everything came out fine. So I said, okay, sounds fine. He said, she'll be in just a few minutes. And 5 minutes later, girl comes in. She's got this box in her hand. She goes, okay, we're going to put this Holter monitor on you and monitor you for 48 hours. And at this point, I'm at the point of pissed, to be blunt. I just kind of laugh. It's not her fault. And I told her, I said, look, I just had a Holter monitor on. I just took it off Saturday. I don't need another one. The results will be in a couple days. Oh, okay. And out she walks. 5 minutes later, girl comes in and says, okay, let's go get your blood, get the blood, come back. So my whole spent, actually the whole week, thinking I was going to go in for a stress test and recreate what I went through on Sunday, raising my heart rate to over 230 beats per minute, stressing on that, anxiety kicking in high gear, and I go in for nothing today, a blood test and a bottle to pee in. So what's that tell you about our hospitals today? It means that they don't have the information. Communication is not existent in this hospital. I spent most of my morning heart rate flowing high because I was getting so angry with what was going on. They had no clue. They still have no clue what's going on with me. They didn't even mention SVT today, the supraventricular tachycardia. So I go in and I spend a $75 copay for nothing. For a doctor to give me another blood test, which I've already had, and a bottle to piss in. Doesn't make any sense. But as my first blog, I figured this is all on my Facebook, once again, at JD Knoll. Check it out. See what you give me your questions, comments, jokes. I love jokes. And just tell me what you think. What you think about today's hospitals and the patient care that we are getting. And let me know what you think. Thanks.